Okay, good afternoon and welcome to It's No Secret. It's been a while for sure. Um, I need to be better about getting on here and doing this on a weekly basis. But as I have said before, it's sometimes difficult to get guests to commit to coming in. It sounds like a great idea, and then there's fear because there's so much stigma here surrounding addiction and all that goes with it. Before I get started, I do want to mention that August 31st, which is not far away at all, is the overdose awareness vigil at Lyman Point Park in White River. That's something that I attend every year for several years now, and I will be attending again this year. If any of you have any names that you would like to add to that list, please reach out and let me know. And I will make sure that they get the information. What we ask for is the name, the age at the time of death, and where they're from. Um, you can put a little more information if you want to, but you don't have to. Um, so um, yeah, um, we'll lead with that. And Connie, hopefully the volume is better. It was set for JD a little bit, and I've just moved the mic, so hopefully that's a little bit better. Um, anyways, I want to jump right into it. Today I'm going to go backwards a little bit and talk about Tyler Matthews and the day he passed away, and talk about the man who has been charged with providing him with the drugs that killed him. I did this not too long ago, but that show disappeared for some reason. And so, as promised, I'm doing it again. We're going to pick apart the arraignment and what was said, and the article that was very well written and very well done by Eric Blaisdell of the Barrie Times Argus. Um, this is it was a year on Mother's Day that well, not on Mother's Day because Mother's Day felt different this year, but a year ago, Tyler passed away. And in February, Benjamin Wader um, was arraigned and charged with that crime. He pled not guilty, as most do at arraignment. That is nothing out of the ordinary. Since then, though, he has had some status conferences that have been canceled. When we think that we're going to go down there in support of Tyler, that doesn't happen. They cancel and reschedule. The last hearing, May 21st, was canceled, and that was rescheduled for October 14th at 2 p.m. So on October 14th, we will be down there with our Justice for Tyler signs, and we will be outside of the courtroom, probably getting there around 1 p.m. And I ask any of you that want to join us to please do so. I have plenty of signs, and we'll get more if need be. So please let me know. Anyway, Ben Wader was charged with providing drugs to Tyler Matthews, and as I have been very vocal about, I don't think that the charges are enough. I think he should be charged with murder. That's what it is. He knowingly gave Tyler fentanyl, and he admits to doing so. The sergeant in this case, the investigator, Diane Matthews, is of no relation to Tyler and his family at all. I will say that right away because it does get kind of confusing when you're reading through the article and mentioning her name. A callous man is accused of providing drugs to a Montpelier teenager who later overdosed and died. Benjamin Wader, 22, pleaded not guilty. Um, that this is at his original arraignment in February of 24. He pleaded not guilty to the dispensing of a regulated drug with death resulting. If convicted, Wader faces a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison and not less than 2 years. He was released on 5,000 unsecured appearance bond. Sergeant Diane Matthews of the Montpelier Police said in her affidavit a 911 call came in on May 14th reporting 19-year-old male was unresponsive, cold to the touch, and may have overdosed on Elm Street in Montpelier. Matthews said the caller reported the male, later identified as Tyler Matthews, had gray lips and wasn't breathing. And just so you all know, the caller was his mom, Mariah. She said police were told the victim had a history of drug use. Matthews said the overdose reversal drug Narcan, also known as naloxone, had been administered to the victim and a cocaine pipe was found in his bed. Matthews said the victim was pronounced dead by emergency responders. She said a family member reported the victim had been at Wader's home the day before his overdose. Matthews said the family member reported the victim had been known to use cannabis and cocaine in the past, but the family member thought he was recently sober. She said the family member reported the victim stopped using prescription medications for anxiety because he planned to join the military. Matthews said she called Wader and told him that the victim had died. She said Wader reported the victim had sent him a text message that Wader didn't read until May 14th. Court records do not indicate what the text message said, but Wader wrote in a sworn statement that the victim had sent him something weird. Matthews said the victim's vehicle and cell phone were seized as a part of the investigation into his death. She said police also took in evidence a cocaine pipe and a test tube with a white residue on it. And just the cell phone has actually remained in custody. It has not that has not been able to be opened yet or gone through, and it is still in police custody and has not been returned to the family. Matthews said an autopsy showed victim died of acute fentanyl and cocaine intoxication and that his death was accidental. On December 14th, Matthews said a family member reported a witness had told her Wader had provided the drugs to the victim. She said the witness reported Wader had said he and the victim had used drugs in Wader's garage the night before the victim's death. Matthews said she spoke with Wader again on February 14th. She said Wader reported the victim was like my brother. She said Wader reported he and the victim had been friends since the 8th grade and played football together. Matthews said Wader reported the victim went to Wader's home in Calais on May 13th and the pair played video games and used drugs together, including cannabis, cocaine, and fentanyl. Wader reported they both were intoxicated, but that the victim wanted more drugs to take home. So Wader gave him instructions on how to use and what to use, according to records. She said Wader reported the victim asked for fentanyl and said he knew what he was getting into. Matthews said Wader reported he gave the victim a glassine bag of fentanyl, which the victim put in his wallet before leaving. She said Wader reported he told the victim, "Don't do anything stupid," before giving him the bag. Wader reported this was the first time giving the drug away. According to court records and what he told investigator, I knew it was going to catch up with me. Matthews said Waiter reported he had gone to Pennsylvania to buy drugs. She said Waiter reported he had since stopped using drugs. Soon after the victim died, Matthews said Waiter reported he drove to North Carolina to live with friends for a short time. She said he reported also that he lived in his car and camped on the Appalachian Trail before returning to Vermont in December. And this, his own admission, is what makes me even more sure that this should be considered murder. I think it should be considered murder anytime that fentanyl is sold or given, because that is, you're knowingly lacing a drug with it. You're knowingly selling a drug that you know will kill. But he admits not only giving him the drug, but basically prescribing. He told Tyler how much to use. By his own admission, he did that. He told him how to use it by his own admission. That's murder. What he did was murder Tyler Matthews. He knowingly gave him a drug that takes lives every single day. And I don't for 1 minute understand why in this state that he can't be charged for murder. And we all know, we've all seen the cases, we've all seen time after time after time where people are released from prison in less than 2 years for this. We have seen time after time where people are charged with distribution with death resulting, and they get probation. They go into rehab or treatment. It just does not make sense. It does not make sense to me at all. And he damn well knew what he was doing. He went and bought drugs. He bought drugs to sell, but he knowingly prescribed and told Tyler how to use those drugs. And before Tyler walked out, by his own admission, he says, don't do anything stupid. If you truly were like a brother, if you truly thought of him as a brother, why would you, and you thought, if you even had the slightest inclination that he was going to do something stupid, if you were concerned about that in any way, why wouldn't you have done something to help him? But instead, you give him something knowing that he probably is not going to make it to be alive. It's just bullshit. And calling him your brother is just one more slap in the face to the family. As far as I'm concerned, they all took you in. They thought of you as their own. They trusted you. They loved you. Tyler trusted you and loved you. And I don't believe for 1 minute that things happened exactly the way you said they did. I just don't. And I don't know why the state can't get this right. I don't know why or what we need to do, but what I do know what we need to do. We need to be tougher about this. We need to say, if you are selling these drugs, if you are knowingly doing this, then you will be charged with murder. The penalties need to be more harsh. They need to be real, and they need to fit the crime. I just don't. I don't know how many more times we can say that. I don't know how many more times we can go before legislation um, and beg people to understand that. What I do know is in recent hearings that did take place, some of the most ridiculous things happened. Uh, the last hearing, his curfew was relaxed because his father may want to spend time doing things with him. I couldn't even believe it. I just the words were like a sting and a slap to my face. I can't even imagine being his mom, his brother, his father. I just can't imagine being, Tyler's family and hearing that and knowing that they too would love to spend time, but that time was taken away from them by Ben Wader. So why does he consistently get this easy way out? Why that's great that his father might want to spend time with him. So now he has a curfew that is, I believe, like it's 10 p.m. He can be out from 6 a.m. in the morning till 10 p.m. at night. He can also be out whenever he's in the presence of his father, uh, because maybe they might want to do something together. Well, good for them. Maybe Mariah would like to do something with her son too. And she can't because Ben Wader stole that from her. And this happens every day. Every day, somebody else overdoses and dies. And every day, those more than likely, they are overdosing and dying because of fentanyl. I, it just, I don't understand. I don't understand at all. And I wish that there was some way, somehow, that I could make a difference or we could make a difference. And I guess I'm at a loss at this point as to how to do that because um, after being in the real thick of things myself for the last 14 years, 15 years now, 15 years now, with my own child and not knowing what's right, what's wrong, what to do, when to do it, how to do it. Uh, I'm at a loss. I don't know what to do. I don't know what the answers are, but I do know that if we were stricter on the crimes committed, if we were stricter on the actual people selling these drugs and bringing these drugs to our state and putting our foot down and saying, no, we're not going to deal with it anymore, and lengthy jail times and charges that were more than a misdemeanor or that is a felony murder charge as far as I'm concerned. And yes, Donna, I've heard that said many times myself that you can't make somebody use drugs. It's your right hand or your left hand and you that made the choice. And that is true sometimes, but I also believe that addiction is absolutely a disease. It's a mental health problem. It's so much more. It's a way to cope. It's a way to not deal with things as much as it is a way to deal with things. And no matter how many times somebody says that to me, I still go back to the point of using cocaine, using marijuana, using if you're using a substance that you knowingly bought, you bought cocaine, you bought pot, you bought something else. But when it's laced with another drug or another drug comes into play that kills people, that's on the person that has sold this drug. It's way more than but it's way more than just a choice. I truly believe that. It's as many years as I've been around it, as many years as I've seen things going really, really well, and then all of a sudden not. It's way more than that, and I think that that's where the stigma comes into play. It's why people don't talk about it. It's why some people don't even get help because they worry that that's what people feel about them. And if we were more open and willing to help, if we were more open to the idea that you can help and weren't always looking down our noses at people that struggle, that may change. More people may be willing to get help. I know that's why I try to do the best that I can. I try to do what I can. I talk to people. I've sought counseling myself from a drug counselor just so I understood the other side. I think that a lot of the younger, I call them kids because of my age, but they're not kids. I'm people 35 and under that I reach out to. They reach out to me. They know I'm there for them. I try to be as involved as I can. And I just wish that more people would be involved and more people would let these kids know that there is hope, there is a way, and there is help. There could be help. But Josh, hi, honey. Josh Sears, who is commenting, is somebody that has, I've known him for a really long time, and he actually did an interview not all that long ago. He did an interview at the same time with my son, Craig. And Josh also has struggled, has been really good, and then not so good, and then really good and not so good. And as he says, unfortunately, he had to leave Vermont in order to be successful and stay clean. And some of that was from the judgment, and some of that was from just doing what they say you need to do, changing your people, places, and things. And changing your people is key. And that's sometimes really hard to do because, as my son says all the time, being sober is super, super lonely. Everybody you know, all of your friends, everything you know is drug related. And so when you're trying to be sober, you really have no one. And how amazing would it be if when you're trying to be sober, you actually had your community, if you knew that you could talk to somebody, or you knew that you could still get a job or a place to live, or and that somebody wasn't going to think that you were this horrible, horrible person, then maybe you could turn things around and have things be different. It's not easy. I see it all the time. It's definitely not easy. And I mean, I'm not going to lie. I get pissed off. I scream at my kid. You know, I don't understand sometimes. I don't understand how everything can be going so well and then all of a sudden not. It's very hard to understand. And it's very hard to understand why we live in a place where nobody recognizes the fact that these drugs are being laced. They're being sold knowing that they could kill someone. And as far as I'm concerned, in some cases, they're even used to shut people up. I'm sure that there are many cases where there are dealers who get pissed off at someone and they make sure that they have a little extra, or they make sure they're not going to be able to talk anymore. I'm sure that happens. How would anybody know, right? And what is the consequence? The consequence is get some treatment, maybe do some prison time, maybe. And if you do that prison time, how much is it? 2 years or less because they let you out because you behaved yourself while you're in? Listen, you're listening to somebody who did 3 to 10 years for a property crime. I'm not minimizing what I did. I committed a crime. I embezzled from my employer, and I spent 3 years, just over 3 years in prison, and spent another 7 on probation, and paid restitution, and have dearly paid in my community, because still 22 years later, I'm constantly having to explain myself and talking about what I did, and I'm constantly having it thrown in my face all this time later, but mostly only because I piss people off on here, so they have to dig and find something on me. And they don't have to dig far because I'm very vocal about it. But the fact is that these people murder people, and they're not punished like that. Not even close. So you can take somebody's life. You can knowingly, as Ben Wader has admitted here in his own statement, you can knowingly give somebody a drug that you know is going to kill them, but walk free. There's no incentive at all for the addict to get help. There's no real incentive they're like lost in this world. We're giving everything that we can possibly give to the people that are killing our babies. And we're just sitting back and we're letting that happen on a daily basis. You know, every day in this city, I can guarantee you that every day somebody is overdosing. Just in the last 2 weeks, I have given Narcan twice. Once right down here in the city and once on the south end. Thank God I carry it in my car. Both times, Both of those patients refused medical help because they don't know what to do. They're embarrassed. They're scared. They're scared to death of what somebody might know, how somebody might perceive them. And I can guarantee what they overdosed on wasn't just cocaine that they may have bought, or I can guarantee it was laced with fentanyl or maybe even xylazine. My guess is fentanyl because the Narcan worked, and Narcan does not reverse xylazine. But both things are killing our babies every day, our family members. And fentanyl is what killed Tyler Matthews. His death was ruled accidental, but there's nothing accidental about giving somebody fentanyl. That's not an accident. Doctors are the only ones in this state that can prescribe. That's it. We've talked to psychologist Rick Barnett here several times. He's been fighting for the right to prescribe for years now. For years, he has been fighting for the right to prescribe. And every year he is denied in this state for that right. And this is what he does. He is somebody that has studied and knows mental health inside and out. And he is not allowed to prescribe. So why in hell did Ben Wader think that he had the right to prescribe? He knew what dose Tyler should be taking. No. I can guarantee if Rick Barnett prescribed that same amount of fentanyl and Tyler died, Rick Barnett would be in jail. Rick Barnett would lose his license. Rick Barnett would probably be charged with murder. Why? It's the same fucking thing. It's the same thing. But this guy, he can just hang out with his dad, maybe catch a ball game, go get some ice cream, go to the lake and go fishing. But I bet Tyler would love to go fishing. None of it makes sense, and we have to stand up. And I hope that many of you will stand with me on October 14th at 1 o'clock outside of that courtroom and let justice for Tyler be known, and let the justice for Tyler be where we start to fight hard to change things, to make things way different than what they are right now. 20 years is the maximum sentence. I could deal with 20 years. I can't deal with 2 or less. No matter what he gets, Tyler's family will never get him back. He's been taken away for forever. It goes beyond not fair. Not fair doesn't even begin to explain what this is. I talk to Mariah, Tyler's mom, often. When she told me that she couldn't find the previous show that we did here, I was so angry. I had been asked a couple of times by family members of Ben Wader to remove the show. My guess is that it was probably reported to Facebook numerous times, enough times so that it was removed somehow. And that's why I'm doing it again today. And I will do it again and again and again and again. I will continue to shout until we find justice for not only Tyler, but any who lose their lives to murder. Because that's exactly what this is. If you are trafficking fentanyl, if you are lacing drugs with fentanyl, you are a murderer. I promised Tyler's family that I would do anything and everything I could always to stand by them and help them keep his memory alive. And I will keep that promise. No matter how much it hurts Ben Wader or his family. That's really not a concern of mine. So, this is super hard because I get extremely emotional when it comes to Tyler and his family, but it's not just about him. It's about, for me, it's about several kids that I know that are gone now for the same reason. And that's really hard to swallow. Several kids that were like my own, that I literally loved with all of my heart, and they're not here anymore. There are days that I feel extremely guilty that I'm still fighting the fight and Mariah's not. But I can tell you right now that I'm extremely grateful that I am. And I know she is too. That's where I'm going to leave things. Is right there. But I remind you all that on August 31st is the overdose awareness vigil at Lyman Point Park in White River. And I hope that you can join us there. If you can't, it is available on Zoom, and I will, like every year, stream live as well. If you have a name that you would like to add to that list, please reach out and let me know, and I'll make sure that that happens. We just need the name, the age, and where they're from, and we can add them to that list. And in the meantime, be there for each other. Try to learn a little more. Try to be a little more understanding of those struggling, even when you're angry. And be willing to fight for them. Be willing to fight alongside of them. And please join us on October 14th at 1 p.m. in front of the courthouse here in the city of Barrie. Thank you all for joining me, and have a good day.